feeling like my boyfriend, 29M, is getting his choice in the big three location, kids, monogamy. I've been with him for about 4.5 years. I'd like to build a life together, but I'm feeling frustrated right now. I'd like to stay in my current city, but he's not interested because he doesn't have enough access to nature. So we are looking at making a move to somewhere for him in a couple years. It's also really important to him that we have an open relationship in some format, and I'm not thrilled with the idea. I'm not totally against it, but my first choice would be monogamy. Finally, it's non-negotiable to him that we have kids. Again, I'm not totally against it, but my first choice would be not to. And #X200B. I'm just starting to feel like having to lose out on all three of these major points is really unfair to me. What can I do? Thanks in advance. Too long did not read. I'm being asked to defer to my boyfriend on kids, monogamy and eventual location. I don't know if he'd stay if I got my way on any of those three, and I'm feeling like I'm sacrificing too much. The whole purpose of finding a partner is to find someone who you can walk life's path with. The two of you sound like you want to walk very different paths going in the opposite directions. To me, this is basic incompatibility, as you want such different things out of life. I don't think either of you should compromise. It doesn't mean either of you did anything wrong. It just means that you aren't the right fit. I feel he needs to compromise at least a little. Does he make you happier than the three? Were you happy with this so far, or you didn't speak about it in the last 4 years? If I would have multiple girlfriends, and each of them multiple boyfriends, and one of them would suddenly decide she is not happy with that and want monogamy, that would be a deal breaker. Edit. At the same time, there is no reason for you to have kids if you don't want it. He can have kids with his other girlfriends. Is this guy Joseph Smith? The fuck you with him for? It's not really a matter of fair. If these are three major things you don't really want to do, you're just not really compatible. You can compromise on some things, but you can't compromise on all major life choices. No, monogamy is a big problem, IMO. Talk to him about it. If he won't budge on this subject still, then you best cut your losses. Is he worth giving up those things for? Any one of those things, you should focus on what's important to you. Only you can make that call, and it sounds like it will be painful for you personally in either direction. So pick the one that has the best potential to give you what you want in life. Cutting your arm off to save your life hurts, but sometimes it's necessary. I've gone through a breakup this year because there were things we couldn't reconcile for our futures. It hurts every day as we were so right on so many levels, but this is the right thing for both of us in the long run. Good luck, and I hope you find your peace. Look into narcissistic personality disorder. I'd recommend HG Tudor on YouTube or a narc sub here. Open relationships only lead to heartache. On both sides. Furthermore, the fact that the mere mention of an open relationship was suggested in the first, should have set off the alarm bells. I know it'll be tough, but eventually you'll meet someone who wants to be with you and only you. Open relationship. Cake and eat it sounds to me. Dump this loser, immediately. Harsh, but true. Face it, you are completely incompatible. And you should always be true to who you are. Don't change to please someone who basically wants to cheat on you, while you are at home looking after the kids. Why would you consider having kids if you don't want to? That's wild tears of joy. If I can be incredibly judgy for a moment, please don't have one or more band-aid babies with this guy. The kids will be the ones who suffers most. Also, it sounds like you want to be monogamous and preferably child-free with the love of your life, while your current boyfriend wants to have a baby mama and a harem on the side. I can't see any way in which these two competing desires can be reconciled in the long term. Love makes for a powerful bond, but it can't overcome this sort of mismatch in the long run. Get out now is my advice. You both seem on different paths. The whole open relationship idea is absurd, and I would suggest not doing that to yourself, as you most likely will regret it. If I suggested that to my partner, 9 years together, I would wake up with no balls, and I am not joking. May seem blunt, but leave his ass. These are three things that you probably should see eye to eye on to have a success relationship. Especially the kids and monogamy part. I can see the red flags from here. Best of luck to you. Compromise is healthy in relationships, but that is way too much. This is a recipe for unhealthy levels of resentment. I'd have a serious conversation. If this isn't what you want, maybe it's time to call it a day. An ex-GF wanted a totally different way of life and I didn't, but she was prepared to forego her path to keep the relationship going. I decided to end the relationship by telling her in a few years' time she would end up resenting me, which I believed to be true. I feel you will be putting yourself on the road to resentment if you cede to him these big, big differences. You will find happiness with someone else, so be brave and say goodbye. I pray you make that decision. It's you having the kids, so that's not really for him to make the final decision on. Sounds like he's not listening to your needs. A relationship is between two people, one person making all the decisions like this isn't healthy. Get rid of this waste of space. Wants to have his cake and eat it. In my experience, most people who want an open relationship and polyamory tend to be a lot more self-centered and unwilling to compromise than one would expect, and that definitely sounds like that's the case here. You shouldn't have to compromise on everything while he compromises on nothing. It's already not good for you now, and it'll get worse if you have kids with him. The compromises are supposed to be about the little things so that you can be with someone that wants the same big things as you. Also, don't be too shocked if that non-monogamy choice actually only applies to him. You're a team in a relationship. If there's no compromise, you'd be better off parting ways and live your life for you, not someone else. You want completely different things in life. If he makes you do all three, you'll just resent him for it. It's time to end this relationship. None of these choices are wrong, but if they're not what you want, then don't make them. Sounds like you two are incompatible. Hi. As a former police officer, I'm afraid to me this sounds very much like a controlling boyfriend who is using you very much to get his way. If you allow him to make these big decisions without input from you, then this will continue to a point you won't even have control of small decisions. I have seen this all too often, and I would run now whilst you have the chances. I can tell you don't agree on anything within this relationship where it matters. Having been in a similar situation, you need to ask yourself simple questions like, what am I prepared to take? What's the furthest I'll go? If he has decided he absolutely won't accept anything other than OPRN relationship, kids and moving where he wants, then that's his red line. Without it, he won't continue. If you're prepared to compromise, then do so. If not, end the relationship. It's not about whining or losing. You're both choosing what you're prepared to compromise on. He's already made his choice. You make yours. If the two paths are not compatible, or at least pointing in the same direction, then you take your own paths and separate. It's not nice, but it's the best thing for both of you. If you can reach a middle ground, do it. And stay together. Your choices on important issues aren't compatible. You'd ultimately hate yourself and him down the road if you went through with his choices. It's best you read the room and leave. From a man's point of view, dump him. He's not taking into account your needs at all. He will hurt you, and years down the line you'll realize you wasted too many years with him. We've all been there. Short-term pain, long-term gain. Jump ship, go for it, and in a few months you'll be smiling and excited what the future holds. Smiling face. Don't waste your time. Move on. Don't stay just because you put too much work and time into this. You will put even more and eventually leave anyway. There is no way you can give up so much and be happy in the future. Especially the part about being in an open relationship. That will destroy you and the relationship if you are not into something like that. You can make compromises for others, but you shouldn't give up your core values. You should have broken up years ago. It's deeply unfair to hang around for years making him think there was a chance for his dreams to come true. Especially on the kids issue, for which there is a definite deadline. Break up now, and find another monogamous man who wants live in the city and not have children, and good luck with that, and let the man free to pursue his own dreams. It honestly seems like you're not aligned to the things that really matter to you. You may love each other, but feels like in the end you're split on some things that matter. So he wants you to move somewhere you don't want to live with him, and have his children for him while he gets to sleep with whoever he wants. What do you get out of this relationship? Personally, it wouldn't be worth it to me. He's not the one for you. Love that he wants to be close to nature, but if you don't, then how is it gonna work? If you feel even a little that you may not want kids, it is unfair to have them, to you and the kids. I wanted kids, and it is so very hard to be a parent. Had I not wanted kids, I could not imagine how I would feel right now with what being a parent entails. On top of that, if I wasn't sure about my spouse's monogamy while trying to raise small children, I could see a lot of crying and regret if it were my situation. I left an 8-year relationship because he wanted kids and I wasn't ready. I was not that young then, 26 years old, but didn't want them yet. There were several other reasons to leave that relationship as well, but the kids was a big factor. I'm sure you could probably find a few more reasons too, though. The second two are such huge deal breakers, it's almost not worth having an argument, just amicably agree to move on. If you want a long-term future with someone, you absolutely have to be on the same page re monogamy and children. There's no way a relationship can survive if you disagree on these matters. He shouldn't miss out on kids if you don't want them, you shouldn't be pressured into having kids if you don't want them. One of the joys of a long-term relationship is building the future you both want. You two have such fundamental differences, there's no easy compromise. Look, you sound nice and remind me of my brother in that you are both caring, loving people. And you care about him so much you're considering things that normally, it sounds like you really don't want a part of. My brother stayed with a girl who was poly and he tried to be okay with it. But it wasn't for him and hurt him. But he wanted to stay with her. Eventually he realized it's a deal breaker. I don't know if this is your first real relationship or long, but maybe take some time to figure out what you want from life. It sounds like you guys just aren't on the same pages on some major things, and it's okay to have a boundary or autonomy to say no, I don't want open relationship. No, I don't want to move. Hey, I don't want kids, etc. I wish you the best. I hope this helped. I feel I rambled, lol. So he wants to lock you down with kids, while he goes out to fuck other people. Yeah, no. The whole point of dating is to see if your lives and values are compatible. Cut him loose and find someone who will be happy to live with you in a city, monogamously, without kids. I asked my husband, he says, he's passively trying to get you to break up with him. He knows you, and will know you don't want children, like where you live, and won't want to be in an open relationship. Anyone that wants that much control is going to cause issues in a relationship. Don't compromise on your happiness. I made that mistake and spent 8 years unhappy and in an abusive relationship. Sometimes it is better to walk away and start afresh. An open relationship and living somewhere you don't like when it's not what you want will only hurt yourself. However, bringing a child into a relationship where they are not 100% wanted will destroy that child emotionally for life. Do not bring an innocent child into this, they don't deserve that and neither do you. It sounds like you might not be compatible long term, but if he so wants an open relationship and kids, and you don't, why doesn't he just have kids with one of his new partners? Once I got pregnant to my ex-partner, I completely changed my mind on how monogamous we were. We initially went into it agreeing to be open. I didn't want to be after we had kids. We now have 2 children, unplanned, 13 malio between them, and our relationship is absolutely ruined. He feels resentful that I set him up to fail, and lied to him about what I wanted, and obviously I feel unworthy because he still wants other people, and has slept with other people since we've had kids now too, and now it's over. I would say you need to be honest. Especially whilst you have no children involved. We weren't and it ruined our lives. Yikes. Open relationships aren't just something you can begrudgingly do. Neither are kids. It's totally okay to not want these things, just like it's okay that he wants them. But it sounds like you're already on the road to bitterness, and it's not going to be a healthy relationship. You guys don't want the same things. Sounds like it's time to step away. I know that's so hard when you love him, but better now than years down the line when you're bitter and stuck in a worse situation. I can understand something like wanting to be closer to nature. I don't understand his want for it, though I don't know his thought process, but the other two are a definite up to you at this point. If one doesn't want kids or an open relationship, then it should be a full stop. You're not in an open relationship or having kids. Moving is more difficult as there are a lot more factors to take in. The only takeaway you need is that he doesn't even want to commit to you. No one in their right mind thinks about being with other people if they're in love. Leave before you get in too deep. The guy must be immature and somewhat mentally deranged. Put your needs first, otherwise you are going to regret your decision. I'm speaking from experience. He is selfish and inconsiderate if he is not taking your preference into consideration at all. I have put my husband and his career first for the past 20 years. I'm 42 now and started having some major regrets as our relationship has totally fizzled out. I'm considering leaving, but my choices are far more limited than they would have been, had I not put him first. You should only do things when your answer is, hell yes. Especially, when it comes to having children. In what way do you benefit by sacrificing your own importance? Cut him loose, throw him back throwing kisses. Look, he's telling you where he stands, what he's after, what he wants his future to look like. This isn't a lose situation. Being with someone isn't a competition. Him knowing what he wants shouldn't be a problem, if you feel the same way. You need to figure out if you're on his page, or not. There's some things people can compromise on, like where to live. And then there's some things that are pretty much not, like kids. But the truth is, you might just be unfortunately incompatible. Take it from personal experience, you both need to be 100% committed to an open relationship. If you aren't, then the one who suggested it will more than likely cheat. I found my ex-wife cheating on me on swingers sites and going to swingers parties.